Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Mardek, and of course last time we successfully took out the Debonair Serpent. You see, but now we must head out, because we have of course picked up the Serpent Crest. Now we must continue on our way through Lifewood, perhaps Dreamwood as well. There are a few areas in which we would like to explore further. Oh, I missed that reaction there, oops. So the Rat Bats. Let us dispose of you. What is the best way to do that? We could use some Dolores Sturge. It's not going to be enough in and of itself, of course, but I suppose we could Spirit Craft to boost that further. I want to say in the previous fight, we were doing a lot of Spirit Crafting, and it was very successful when we ultimately Spirit Crafted Gloria to give her more Spirit, for some more power on Whirlpools and mostly Razor Leaves. But we were also Spirit Crafting Elwian, and I believe I was under the impression, mistaken impression at that we were boosting her song that allowed us to improve our spellcasting ability, and I'm pretty sure that we were actually using the magic defensive ability, so that probably explains why our enemy was not doing so much damage with their spells, but we weren't seeing our damage go up all that much until ultimately we ended up using Spirit Craft on Gloria instead. But anyways, that's a bit of an aside. So let's take these guys out now, and Mardek is poisoned, and the Dolores Sturge is not enough in and of itself, unfortunately. These guys can leech a ton of HP with those attacks there, so it actually was enough for at least one of them. On this occasion, do we have any other songs that we need to work on? We actually don't, so I suppose we can continue dirging. And then Solar, however... Oh, we also Purify with Solar, which I honestly forgot that we even had this. I don't remember which item it is that is currently giving Solar this ability, but it removes all negative status effects from a character. So we were seeing things like Silence not so long ago, which would have been helpful, and we can do that on Mardek right here. It's a little bit overkill, because of course Mardek can use Remove Taint to get rid of it himself, and that's more specific to things like Poison, and it also, I believe, costs less MP. But if we're looking to master that skill with Solar, then why not? Okay, great. So those guys are down. And let's head on back out of here. Which I believe, yeah, this room is a little bit long and windy of the road variety. And so, not sure if we're going to run into any beetles per se, but maybe some more axolotls and cavefish. That certainly would seem possible. And again, I think I'm maybe in the habit of using Dolores Sturge even when it's not necessarily the best thing to do here. Probably would have been better off, say, doing something like the magic attack boosting song instead, so that at least when Gloria goes around, she can be a sure thing in terms of taking these guys out here. Might still be the case, at least. Of course, there will still be Dolores Sturge damage on the axolotls. Will that be enough? No. Ooh, yikes. At least they didn't both decide to attack Elwian. However, Gloria is actually in very bad shape right now, so we could probably do a party-wide heal. Gloria needs it more than anyone. This probably won't fully restore her HP, but gets us closer. I mean, Dolores Sturge will be enough this time, I would think, or at least very close to it. We'll take out the one with the most HP here, and then Gloria, you should be able to defeat it this time around, and do we have reason to use a physical attack? I mean, we probably could squeeze one in here. Assuming we hit the reaction. Yeah. It works. Is that actually more damage than Solar? It's pretty close. More bone axes. Can never have enough of them, apparently. And so we also, arguably, should still heal further. At least for Gloria. Yeah. That's probably best. Okay. And now we did, of course, loot all these things here on our way in, and the bridge is already set up, so we can just head on out. More of the Rat Bats. However, this time, only 3. I think the previous one had 4, so this should be a little bit more straightforward. And we could even... I want to just try whacking them with Elwian. I think we do have an offensive reaction with her that we are technically trying to master. I'm pretty sure, though, that her attack, yeah, is Earth Elemental, so this is not going to deal any damage, so at some point it would be nice to do that. but not at the moment, I don't think. And then we could Spirit Craft on Gloria, give her more damage. Only 2 this time. So there you see, against the Serpent, we had a lot of luck getting, I think it was like 8 Spirit, 7 Spirit, all the high rolls, and then now we're having the bad luck here, getting the 2s, which is the minimum. However, against these guys, I'd certainly rather get low rolls against random, relatively weak enemies that we encounter rather than the bosses. That's where you need the good stuff, right? Maybe we swap back over to Dolores Surge just in case here. That will be enough. But we can also, we can throw on a Purify even if we don't need to get rid of a status effect, just to get close to mastering that skill. And similarly, we could even use no water once if we really wanted to, just to make sure we have the chance to get close to mastering that as well. Because this guy will die to that Dolores Surge. Mardek, I assume you're done, right? Yeah, or Mardek will just take him out here. Okay, not bad. So when we head back up here, we will find the save crystal, and what I'm thinking is, it's probably time for us to again swap out some people, because Elwyn, you've had a long run here, and you are definitely a character that there are a lot of benefits from playing with you a lot, because you have so many skills that you can master, but I think you've had more than your fair share of time now, so who would we like to swap in? It's been a long time since we've had Vern, at least a long time since we had him for an extended period of time. Likewise with Donovan. As for who on this end we'd want to get rid of in order to make room for Donovan, that's tough, because both these people, Solar and Gloria, haven't spent too much time with us just yet. So, take your pick? Maybe let's go with Solar and take out Gloria for now? Okay. Oh, and actually, before we move on, let's just make sure that we have items equipped where we want them to be equipped, because we do, of course, have access to item storage here. So, Vern is actually pretty well equipped right now. I think we have, at least briefly, had the chance to play with him in Chapter 3, so we put on the Trilobite armor. That was probably left over from Chapter 2. He's somewhat close to mastering that. The Earth Pendant is not a bad idea if we're about to step back into Lifewood. And then the Drain HP, he is done with that, so we could probably throw something else on in its place. As for what would be the best fit there, that's a good question. Not entirely sure offhand, but we could put on something like a Candry, though, for plus 20% XP. That is something that it's nice to have. It's one of those things kind of like double gold or double AP from the Evening Star, where you'd love to have it on, ideally, all the time. However, oftentimes you have other passive skills that feel like they're kind of necessary in a given area, or you have so many things that you're trying to learn simultaneously that you just can't quite squeeze it in. But on this occasion, sure, let's give it a shot. Other than that, we have Donovan, who does not currently have a helmet. That is certainly something we can arrange. He's also close to mastering, plus 2 strength. So let's throw on one of those bone helmets, which I'm assuming we probably have somewhere over here. In fact, Vern actually has one in his inventory already. So, oh, but can Donovan wear that? Oh, yes, he can. I did not remember that Donovan can actually put on helmets. For a second there, I was thinking he might only have been able to put on hats. But he's good to go on that front, so we could even put on that damage-soaked defensive ability, which is not amazing, but it's something. So let's double-check our skills here real quick. Mardek does have 2 in the way of physical defensive reactions. I'm not really sure there's much we can put on. I mean, we'd probably prefer having minus 10% damage rather than soak 10. But no significant upgrades to be had here, other than we could get rid of evasion and minus 10% damage in order to put on resist light. And this is the type of thing where once you start to get fairly far along in the game and you've mastered many reactions and you have a lot of RP to play with, it's an interesting question that you can ask yourself, because there are situations when this would be the way to go, of course, if we were expecting to take our fair share of light damage, but more often than not, I think we're probably going to find that getting some across-the-board 10% damage reduction and evasion is probably going to be preferable. Then, as for these magic defensive reactions here, we also do still have light active. not necessarily sure that's going to be all that common for us. So maybe we throw on something like fire or air instead. And then he's still working on the rainbow aura. Threw that on fairly recently, so I suppose that's not too much of a surprise, although might we feel like we can get rid of agility or even clarity? I dare not if we're about to head back into Lifewood, so maybe let's keep this untouched for now. Mostly, I think the question is with other people, are there things that we might be able to do? Like, say, Vern, you have, for my money, the best offensive reactions in the game, what with Smite in particular. But, unfortunately, can't also throw on crit here, although we could actually get rid of Cory Undead and put on crit instead. Yeah, that is probably better in this instance. And you have lots of physical defensive reactions that you are close to mastering, but have not yet mastered. So that is very notable. He is using the Trilobite armor right now for the resist water, so can't immediately take that off to make sure that we master these things, but that'll be on the list for sure. And we have the Earth Pendant equipped right now, but did not have the Magic Defensive Reaction equipped, so that's a little bit concerning. We do also have 2 RP available, however, I think we get rid of Agility here, put on plus 20% XP, because although you did, of course, get your fair share of experience back in Chapter 2, you're actually behind everyone else because these other people have been playing with a lot more in Chapter 3, and some of them might have actually started off with a fairly high level to begin with. Okay, so that's good for Vern. As for Solar, I think things are largely going to be unchanged here, unless you've leveled up in the meantime. For the most part, we're looking to pick up more skills because you have plenty of RP to burn. And Donovan, it has been a very long time. I think the longest time of anyone since we last played with you. So we could throw on Soul Strike. I think at one point in time we were deliberately unequipping that because we had a lot of fire enemies or fire-resistant enemies. Should be pretty safe here. Then we can also put on Damage Soak. That's from the helmet that we just equipped, so that's good to see. And then magic defensive reactions. I mean, when we were in the Dark Temple, that might have been the last time we were using Donovan. The Dark Resistance would have been helpful, yes, but on this occasion, Spell Resist might be a little more versatile. That might be preferable in that case, and you have plenty of passive RP here. So Insomnia, sure, we can throw that on. And the +2 Strength. Sounds good to me. Resist Earth would actually be quite helpful, again, if we are about to head back into Lifewood. But, soon. And before we head out, the Tweeds want to say one last goodbye. So, Solar, you should be able to take this guy out here. You are? Okay, good. Silence Gas. I do not remember that one. Vern is now silenced. Okay. So, Solar, you theoretically would have reason to use your Purifying skill. And the Flames, how effective are those against these guys? They do have some fire resistance, so it wouldn't be amazing, but it is an option. Otherwise, the physical attacks, I think, are actually better. They are going to be Fire Elemental, yes, assuming we hit our offensive reaction, because we did put Soul Strike back on. However, if I remember correctly, these guys are better in terms of magic defense than they are physical defense. Yeah, so this will be better. And I think we put on a ton of strength on Donovan, so he might be a fairly strong attacker at that. Well, I mean, that is... The damage is getting halved, because these guys have 50% resistance, but... Okay. Vern, not that you really need to be using Disrupt Undead or Smite Evil against these guys, but what about a normal attack? How much damage are you rocking here? More than enough. That's good to see. So, for Mardek, you could get rid of this last Tweed here. I suppose that still works. And then we could just get rid of the silence by walking back over to the crystal that is a few feet away from us. Or, I believe we will still be able to use Purify in this instance. And that gives us one more use here, because I don't think, yeah. I'm pretty sure we saw this way back in Chapter 2 when we first learned some of the healing and removing status abilities that Mardek picked up, that you're not allowed to use them on this non-battle screen here unless someone actually has a status that you need to remove, because that would be a super easy way to master up those skills really quickly. And we could also just restore what little MP we used just there. We're back into Lifewood, and so let's take a quick look at our map to remind ourselves as to where exactly we want to go here. I think the answer is that we want to loop back around and make our way to this Dream Circle here, which will of course bring us from Lifewood into Dreamwood, and from there, we have not yet gone through to the northernmost section of the forest while in Greenwood. So let's do that, and then I think the next thing will be that we'll want to go to the eastern side of the Greenwood part of the forest and see what happens when we go there. That was where we, at one point, saw the shaman, but there wasn't too much for us to do there. So will things change significantly in Greenwood? There's a chance. Okay, notably, we no longer have anyone who is quick enough to go before the Centaur, so that's a little bit concerning. And Solar, we're probably going to need you to play pretty offensively here because we no longer have Gloria or Charla, who were, on previous occasions, our primary damage dealers here, so this could prove to be quite tricky. Probably going to need you to use a Solar Flare to take one of these guys out, otherwise they are likely to be able to take a turn. Is it going to be enough damage, though? They have no magic defense, but they also have no weakness to light. So let's target the one with the lowest HP, which would be this one here. Will it be enough damage? Oh, just barely. And I mean 1 damage, just barely. Okay, then as for Donovan, let's take a look at their fire resistance. Nothing on the Centaur. Nothing on the Furry Biter. However, the Centaur does have some magic defense, so it might actually be better for us to use a physical attack against one of you guys here. Let's give that a shot. Oh, except you do, of course, need to hit. Vern, I think, at least with the other enemies that we saw previously, you did have enough damage to take them out. So, especially if you crit, you can definitely do that. Mardek, I mean, the Centaur will go next. So there is some risk that the Centaur attacks either Solar or Donovan, in which case it might be able to take them out. You also might be able to deal enough damage to take out the Centaur. You probably have the most damage of everyone right now. So it is tempting to attack with you, but I think let's play it a little bit safe here. See what the Centaur chooses to do. Attack Solar, so yes, good thing we did heal. And then we could, again, Solar Flare. Don't think it's going to be enough, but it will get you closer to going down. Possibly within range for Donovan. Not quite, although the poison does certainly help. And Vern, you definitely got to be able to do it, right? Yeah. Okay, so notably, it takes us several turns to take down even one enemy, or at least seemingly does. So if we get into some difficult fights here, then this could be less than straightforward, taking out some of the tougher groups of enemies. So I suppose there is a save crystal up here, but I don't think we need to go there right now, per se. We haven't lost a lot of HP or burned through much NP just yet. Okay, this is actually, I think, a combination of enemies we've not yet seen. We've seen one of the lovely elves thus far, but now there's 2, plus a purple mantid, so let's remind ourselves. Purple mantid is probably the most threatening of these enemies here, what with its high attack and strength. It is very resistant to fire, which is also concerning because, of course, Donovan is primarily dealing fire damage, so that means this is definitely not going to be an enemy that Donovan can do much against. Solar, that probably means you're going to have to do a fair amount of it yourself. And the lovely elves have a fair bit of resistances across the board, but they're equally resistant to fire as they are other things, so Donovan, you're probably going to focus on these guys instead. And, yeah, I think we have to Solar Flare the Purple Mantid, because Mardek, we know, is unlikely to be able to take this guy out in one hit. Oh, I was totally caught off guard by those guys attacking us there. Okay, fortunately, Vern is, of course, wearing the Trilobite armor, meaning that he has water healing at this stage. So if we were to attack or use a fire spell with Donovan, then we definitely want to attack one of the lovely elves, and let's go with the one with lower HP, because they do still have 50% resistance, so yeah, it's going to be tough to take them out. And Vern, I'm not sure you have enough damage to take out the Purple Mantid. I don't think you do, because we saw you're doing something on the order of about 500 damage. It would be close, but not quite enough. So I think you go for the lovely elf, and your attacks are actually non-elemental at the moment, which is beneficial, because they do have some light resistance. Mardek, I think you do need to attack the Purple Mantid, and it's going to be very close as to whether or not you can take it out. But I think it's worth a shot. You cannot. It's going to counter, but that's okay against Mardek. Now, attacking Solar, though, that was the primary reason why we wanted to make sure that we took the Mantid out soon, because if it attacks other people who have lower HP or lower defenses, then we're in trouble, and yes, Solar, I'm sorry, but this time it was you. So now we're over to Donovan, and Donovan, Probably don't want to attack the Mantid here. I'm thinking you might be able to take out the Elf, or at least get it to low enough HP that the poison will get rid of it. Okay, now Vern, you can definitely deal enough damage here. 450, 460, so definitely reason for us to not have attacked with him last go-round. And might we be back into the pattern here that we experienced previously, where seemingly after every fight in Lifewood, someone is going to go down and we'll have to make a round of heals? Maybe, because of course I would say that this team is far less optimized, if you will, for this area, especially with Solar using the weapon that deals earth damage, so that means that Solar can't really use physical attacks. Have we seen all green souls in here? We've seen some, but I'm not sure we've seen a group of 4. So this might actually be preferable for us, quite frankly, because these guys don't have a lot of light resistance. They have their fair share of physical defenses, but I think we can break through that. So, Solar Flare with Solar is probably the best way to start. Should deal more than enough damage to take out even the one with the highest HP. Except these guys will deal their fair share of damage as well. Okay, and Donovan with the flames, that is probably preferable, because these guys have a little bit less resistance to fire than they do, say, water, air, or earth. And they have less magic defense than they do physical defense, so yes, on this occasion, flame is seemingly the way to go. How much damage will it do? I'm not sure. Let's go for the one with the lowest HP, and it's still not enough. Okay. Vern. Interesting question for you, because these guys, despite being all ghosty, are technically spirits, and not undead. They're not dark elemental, which means that neither Smite Evil nor Disrupt Undead are going to be fairly effective against them. So you are going to be a little bit hard-pressed to deal damage, because if you do just a normal attack, you are guaranteed to do 0 damage. I think it does need to be one of these skills. As for which one is technically preferable, I'm not sure it matters much. But let's maybe target the one with the lowest HP, just in case. His offensive reactions, yes, might be enough to carry him to enough damage to take him out. That is, I think, largely the doing of the Smite reaction there. It is very strong against enemies with high defenses. Mardek, you should be fine, because you have light elemental attacks automatically. And you have, I believe, Core of Spirit as well. Okay, Solar, you should be able to Solar Flare, take this guy out. There we go. So comparatively speaking, might have actually been more straightforward than some of the more typical types of enemies you would encounter in Lifewood. And there's Magic Water Resistance mastered for Solar, so we could, say, swap this item off of Solar. And Solar, I'm pretty sure you have a bazillion things that you can learn in that slot there. It's just a question of what would we prefer to prioritize, and that is a very good question. We, of course, don't have the save crystal in front of us right now, so we don't have access to all of our potential things we could put in that spot. But say if we were to put Insomnia here, I think that would be not the worst idea. The base item is not fantastic, just 1 magic defense and 10% light resist is quite weak in truth. However, remember that Insomnia means, if we haven't mastered it yet, the ability to entirely resist sleep. And I think it was in Lifewood where we saw the rogue pixies putting the entire party to sleep and nearly wiping us out that way. Of course, we are now in Dreamwood, which I believe is the point where we wouldn't be worried about sleep as much as we would be about confusion, but anyways, covering our bases, at least if we were to go back into Lifewood. So this time around, I think we're going to head north to that other area where, in the Lifewood version of the forest, we saw the Bandit Chief. What will we find this time around? Not sure. Okay, so 2 whims, and these guys arguably might even be easier for us to fight than the typical Lifewood enemies, especially because these guys actually are somewhat weak to light, at least less resistant to it than they are the other elements, and we have our fair share of light damage in here with Solar, Vern, and Mardek all being light elemental characters and access to various light skills. So let's use a Solar Flare. We can probably target the one with the most HP. One of them will still have the chance to take a turn. And they'll target Vern. So flames and other attacks of the fire elements are not terribly effective against these guys, comparatively speaking. But if we were to say, well, I mean, we do actually want to, again, convert the elements, even if the whole dark elemental or undead thing isn't really a thing against a whim, but still gives us enough damage because it turns it from a just plain physical element to light. So yeah, that looks like that's going to help us out a lot. Seems as though more or less everyone other than Donovan will be able to take people out in one hit. So what is up here? We've not yet seen. There's a save crystal. Sure. And then there's a dramatic circle. And a dramatic glowing tree. What? Tree of Dreams. It's a strange, crystalline tree-like structure with orbs at the end of its branches. It seems to give off a strange, powerful energy, and it feels almost as if its branches are probing your mind. Maybe we should leave? You also get the feeling of standing before a huge crowd, as if this tree contains the thoughts and memories of hundreds of thousands of people. What? That's a little concerning. The tree seems to notice the dreamstones that you're carrying. They and the orbs on the tree resonate and glow softly. However, after a few seconds, they go dead again. It seems you don't have enough of them. Okay, so it sounds like this is a location that we will ultimately want to head back to when we have more dreamstones. We have, of course, picked up several at this point. But apparently, not enough is the answer. And so if we try stepping into this dramatic circle-looking thing, nothing happens? Okay. Yeah, that's, odd. But okay. Let's head back down south, and I think we'll have to go to the main area of the forest, the central area, before going eastward toward where we, like I was saying before, previously found the shaman. Will the shaman still be there in Dreamwood? I don't know. Okay, so, just a single forgotten face, and it is actually comparatively quite slow relative to the rest of our team, so we'll have 3 people with a chance to take a turn before it goes. It is, again, at least comparatively speaking, weaker to light than it is other elements, so we should be in pretty good shape there. Solar Flare might even be enough. It is. No problem at all. Compare that to some of the other fights we've had recently, and yeah, we'll take that. Let's head on south. I believe it'll be just down here. Or nope, my apologies. That's where these 2 chests were once upon a time, but we have picked those up now, so we do need to cross this little bridge of sorts. And another bridge at that. I believe it's right down here. Once we get through these Harpian arrows, they are quick though, so they will beat us to the punch here. And Thoughts Pulse Mardek on a couple of occasions here. Solar Flares, I'm assuming, are probably still the way to go. Yeah, no resistance to light, and no magic defense either. That should be a good way to take him out. It is. They do have their fair share of evasion, I think. Thought I saw 50%. Yeah, so that does mean that a flame is probably still better than an attack, physical attack, and that is just barely enough damage as well. So they're quicker than us, but other than that, not too tricky. And here we are. Now we find the way out of there and into, again, this is the center part of the forest. We've not yet gone east from here. Let's try that out. This was previously just a small little area with the shaman's hut and not much else. So what will we find this time? Will it be much the same? Okay, good to see. And there is still a hut. Can we go in? It appears there's no door to said hut. And actually, there is seemingly a door of sorts over here. That's what that blue indicator typically means. However, it does also appear as though it is currently blocked by a wall of trees. That there's no secret path here. It's quite literally a wall of trees. So not so sure what the deal is there. Maybe it is worth, say, exiting the Dreamwood and instead speaking to the shaman in Lifewood, assuming that she is still available to us, Okay, of course we've noticed that the centaurs are faster than us. And we will perhaps need to use a slightly different strategy here. Well, I suppose we can still use Solar Flare against these guys. Probably want to use it against the weakest enemy here. It is still enough. I was gonna say, at very least, might not be quite as effective as it was against those big enemies previously, but apparently we're quite alright there. Donovan, with your physical attacks, I think you whiffed on the Furry Fighter last time we tried this, but let's give it a shot here. Not enough damage, but it does inflict a poison as well, so that is somewhat helpful there. Then Vern, I think between you and Mardek, we can probably take down the Centaur. Even if you guys can't single-handedly deal enough damage. Okay, and that does give Solar enough of an opportunity to take a turn before the Furry Fighter goes next, so we'll take it out here. Not bad. Okay. So let's head on over and see if we can check back in with the shaman here. Hello. Greetings, my children. Is there anything that you need? Greetings, fair maiden, or shaman, as the case may be. I am Vern, a righteous paladin of justice, and Yalort, that too. I'm here in your lovely woods, on an errand. You see, there used to be a monastery of my order around here some time ago. Ah, yes. I know of which place you mean, my child. I remember it. But it's been a while since I have. Nature saw fit to swallow it about a century ago. Oh, I mean, we do kind of know that that was the case, that once upon a time it was accessible, but then got consumed by the forest, and maybe that's the reason why we saw a door over there previously that had a bunch of trees blocking it. Yet you remember it. How old are you? You look like a teenager. Vern? Never say that. Tactless. I am a shaman, and I dwell within this wood of life. Its magic and nature's gift of my status gives me my continued youth. I planted many of the largest trees in this forest. I was here when it was but a small patch of saplings. Oh, so you are extremely old. I suppose, yeah, what with this being Lifewood and all, that would perhaps be reason for you to continue to look quite young. Yeah, right, okay, good. Then tell us the way to get to this monastery. Let me see. It was a long time ago. I traveled to it a few times to give the priests within my blessings and nature's favor, so that the forest would not swallow them up. Which it did eventually, as their behavior became erratic and dangerous. A fallen star drove them to insanity. Unnatural, all of it. Fallen star, you say? That does sound rather familiar. I can't imagine why you'd want to travel there, but I warn you, it is not a safe place. Oh yeah, I didn't think it would be. Now, where is it? So demanding, Vern. There was once a path to it beside this dwelling of mine, a snaking glade to the sacred nest of god worshippers. I'm imagining it now, clearly. Yes, I remember. But as I said, the forest swallowed it up. You can no longer get there on this mortal plane. This mortal plane, you say? What about, say, an alternate plane? One of, say, dreams and memories? Can't we just cut a path through the trees or something? Vern, how dare you say such a thing in front of the shaman? I will pretend you didn't say that, my child. Yeah. Probably not a good way to earn brownie points with her. But right, well, whatever. We'll find a way. Right, Mardek? There's got to be some way to get there. The Dream Realm. That place. I would guesstimate that a snaky path's a formified there. In that place, be the shaman's thoughts, memories, you know? Let's investigate our eyes. Sound like a good idea, Solar. That is definitely something that we'll be looking to do. However, I think this is a good place for us to wrap up here, and next time, I suppose, we can see if, in fact, there may be a path that is now formed in the Dream Realm. Maybe we can find our way over to that lost monastery. But anyways, I'll catch you next time.